What's up? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I am Morrow, your storyteller for today. With me I have some more RPG horror stories on the topic of non-RPG horror stories. The new D&D 5e 2024 books are kind of like in preview, being posted on D&D Beyond. I was thinking going through some of the changes and seeing what I like and what I dislike. Maybe spend like a whole day per class. Some videos might be kind of short, some videos might be kind of long, but I was thinking of maybe sharing my take about the new stuff being added, because I gotta be honest, not a lot of it is great. I mean, sure, some of it is actually fantastic, like monks, got such an upgrade. It is fantastic and incredible, but there are others changes they're adding that are less than good, in my opinion, that I feel like would impact at least my players' perspective on D&D in general. If you'd like to see me cover the new 2024 edition changes to D&D 5e, then feel free to let me know in comments below, and I'm gonna get to my first RPG horror story for today. The problem player is being a problem player for an unusual reason. Background: I campaign with a first-time GM. Most of us are novices. The problem player is the one most experienced. He is GM for our current GM in the past, but none of the other players had played with him. The story: problem player was annoyed from the very beginning. Classic problem player repertoire: interrupting others, off top, not paying attention, paying too much attention, as in commenting and talking over others when his character is absent, assuming his plans are the only right ones, hoarding equipment, joking in an obnoxious way. I mean, Ligma in 2024 when the GM is describing a scene, really? Being aggressive towards NPCs, etc. Just imagine any typical issue, and he probably did it. Nothing's wrong with Ligma. You can have Ligma in 2024, but when the DM is describing something, yeah, probably not the best time to talk about it. Also, I got a question for the comments section. What's Ligma? Let's continue. I've tried asking others whether they have an issue with him, but all I got was a general, "I'm inexperienced, so I don't want to rock the boat," or "I do agree, but I don't want to speak up because I don't feel like I have the authority to do that." Alright, maybe this group is just not for me. Message the GM that I'd like to leave and explain my reasons. They agreed that his behavior is too much and asked whether I'd like to stay if they talk to the problem player, because he's not usually like that. I agreed. If it's an actual problem and it is a concern and it's not fun, you need to call it out. Listen from me. I've been in a place where I saw problem behavior and I didn't say anything because I was like, well, maybe that's the normal thing to do, but I don't want to do that. But I don't want to call it out. I don't want to create problems. Call it out. Talk about it. It is way better to bring it up early on and discuss with the DM what's a problem, what's not a problem, and other players, instead of just letting it fester until eventually it becomes such a problem that you feel frustrated and you want to leave. A day later, the GM messaged our group chat to notify them if something's bothering us, and then I'll be introducing the X card. Great! Then the problem player piped up that the X card is a fine tool, but it's better to be assertive instead of passive-aggressive. I tried to multiple times, but he was constantly speaking over everybody, and I didn't even hear what I was saying. I explained to the group chat that I intended to leave due to clashing playstyles and asked whether he meant that me complaining to the GM is what he considers being passive-aggressive. He replied that he actually doesn't even know what my issue was because when the GM talked to him, it was too fluid without any particular issues. So I gave him a long answer with multiple points. While he agreed that he is an issue with interrupting other players, he mentioned he doesn't feel bad or even responsible for his aggressive roleplay. He then explained that he's been GMing for our current GM for a few years now, and that they're extremely hostile towards his NPCs. Also that they've been infantilizing his Star Wars campaigns. Therefore, it's his right to do the same to them. You've been doing this terrible thing in my campaign, so I could be a dick to you. No, it doesn't give you the right or excuse to do that. Players don't want to be dealing with somebody who's going to be disruption at the table because you want to take out a spite from previous campaign. Nobody's interested in your petty little spiteful rants. The GM explained that yes, while that will be the case if they're playing one-on-one, there are other people he has to consider. He answered that he'd feel a cognitive dissonance behaving in any other way because he's so used to this playstyle when our current GM is around, and while he might not be bothered to work on other issues, his character will be as hostile as he was. You would have cognitive dissonance that your character can't be a dickhead that you want your character to be. Huh? Such a stupid excuse. Kick this guy out of here. I mentioned that it's a serious clash of interests for me because I'm here to have fun and not to clean messes made by another player. He then decided that he had enough and left. To sum it up, yes, he used the campaign as a revenge ploy against the current GM to teach them a lesson how it feels to deal with a hostile PC without any regard for the other players. People can play hostile PCs, but obviously, of course, if it's like going on, all of it's going on all the time at your table, maybe you should talk to your players about it. Be like, hey guys, why are you so hostile to the NPCs? Is it something going on? Is it part of your character? Can maybe not be hostile to every single NPC? It sounds like the guy's either taking what people did as player characters very personally to some NPCs, or maybe there's an actual problem going on with the other campaign that hasn't been resolved, but instead of resolving it, the dude wants to go into the current GM's campaign as like a payback and be an asshole for the sake of that, because it's apparently supposed to be a payback for what they did in this other campaign. It's so stupid. If you have a problem with it, talk to your players about it. Don't bring your negative feelings just to give a payback. That's dumb. You just ruining experience for everybody, including the DM, including for yourself. You souring the experience for everybody as petty revenge, which is, in this situation, extremely petty. Well, at least he's gone. At least he's gone, and he is not going to be here anymore. And hope y'all are having more fun without him. Anyway, let's get to the next story for today. Absolute train wreck of a D&D game. I could make 3 or 4 posts about this game, but for context and continuity, I guess it would be best to group them here. For context, this is a 6-player plus DM campaign. The game started with 5 players and I joined after 3 to 4 sessions. We're all friends together, so despite what happens on these games, and we often argue, we still play other games together and talk to each other almost every day. Also consider that any monster being used has at least +2 or +4 bonuses to both AC and attack roll compared to monster manual equivalent, and max possible health, and could do more actions than if specified. The damage of ordinary weapons and NPC enemies are boosted to do 1.5 to 3 times damage. More about that later. Before you talk about that, why is things overscaled? Why does everything have more AC, more health, doing more damage? Who is running your game? What a homebrew hell is this? Unless you're going for like a really buff campaign where everybody gets like a ton of magical items and stuff. That seems extremely unbalanced. Part 1, Shadowfell Shenanigans, level 5 party. Party was going to a cave filled with cultist goblins and then ended up in Shadowfell, where I joined as part of another group of adventurers that got captured and killed. Things that happen here in order. We fought a custom necromancer that could throw dark balls, which were fireballs that did 98 psychic damage and would kill you instantly if you dropped to 0 HP. At this point, the balls could one-shot half the party if they failed to save, and the damage roll was slightly above average. This necromancer could and did grab a player and use it as a human shield, increasing its AC too, by the way, meaning attacks we did against it missed and would instead hit the grappled player. On top of that, each turn the necromancer would apply 1d4 points of exhaustion to the grappled player. The grappled player died of exhaustion and could not do anything on its turn, as it would have disadvantage or directly fail any attempt to ungrapple himself due to exhaustion. He later complained about it to the DM. The way to exit this dungeon was to kill the spirit of a ghost-like dragon that was trapped and chained there. We agreed that one player could do it while the others would gather at the exit gate. The player that did that got immediately cursed, no save, no warning by the DM, nothing, with draganthropy against its will. Assume that a remove curse does not work 90% of the times. More on this later. What in homebrew hell is going on? This seems like overscale for no reason. What? You're level 5. Y'all are level 5 getting hit by 98 dark balls. This sounds like hell. Let's keep going. There's a lot more to this hell. Part 2. Hagfest, level 7 party. We went to a small village that was ravaged by a hag. In this town, we fought some plantoids and got some info on where to go next. We fought plants taken from Tomb of Annihilation that could burrow and travel 50 feet underground on each of their turns. When the plant is underground, you cannot do anything about it. You couldn't ready any action, try to dodge, you would have to sit there like an idiot. The plant just appears behind you, makes a spore attack, and then try to eat you. If you fail the spore attack to stun you, he would eat you instantly. But if you pass a spore attack, it would still try to eat you. Spore was wisdom saving throw and eating was dexterity saving throw. We fought a small hag that led the plants, killed it, and I used attack thoughts on its head to get information. It was still alive despite being decapitated. My reward for trying to get in for using a spell, I had to roll a wisdom saving throw, rolled 16, it wasn't enough, or be cursed with some sort of permanent poison or exhaustion effect because the head was connected to a greater hag of some sort, and it could curse me through detect thoughts. Thankfully I removed curse word this time, or I would have walked out of the game at that point. What is a curse? Utter brain rot? Are they just beaming the Skibidi Toilet and Ohio memes in your head and that's what the curse is? utter brain rot, because I'm reading this and this sounds like brain rot to deal with. We arrive at the hag's lair, which turned out to be a young green dragon lair. The hag left and we fought the dragon. This dragon had 20 AC, had region the DM would not notify us until like 3 rounds in, no perception check to notice it was healing. He just said, "Did any of you do fire damage in any of these rounds?" and went with it. This dragon could do everything on its action section. He did in fact do breath attacks and a multi-attack on the same turn. Dragon downed 2 players on the same turn, and the DM said quite literally, "If I don't finish any of you off, I lose my remaining attacks." The DM killed 2 players because he didn't want to lose attacks because he had no other target at that moment. Other 4 players were a bit further away and could reach them next turn easily. When we killed the dragon and got loot, there was a chest protected with magic. A player tried to open it with a lockpick. The DM said he couldn't because it had magic protection. Another player used the spell magic. Chest exploded instantly. No throw or anything. Still don't know what we were supposed to do to open it. Maybe use knock? Nah, it sounds like a trap the DM put there specifically for a reason. They just didn't want you to open it, and as soon as you dispel magic, it's like, "Oh, I can't believe they have that. It explodes. Haha, it explodes. You didn't get any loot inside." Whew, I thought players were actually gonna do something smart for once. Anyway, it's so stupid. If they use dispel magic, let them dispel the magic and open the chest. For the love of God, you put the chest there for a reason. Part 3, Problems at Home, level 8 party. Remember the player that got cursed with dragonthropy? He transformed into a shadowfell dragon at home while sleeping. The player lost all control of his character and could only try to make the dragon not attack us. Despite this, the dragon ended up killing a player. This player could be revived because a squirrel companion of a druid player was suddenly an archfey and used a reincarnate spell on him almost against his will because he didn't really want to change race. Revivify would not work. Had never worked to begin with. If Revivify never works in your game whatsoever, I mean, are you using Diamond? I hope you're using Diamond. I'm assuming you're using Diamond with the Revivify. If you're using a Diamond worth of 300 gold with the Revivify and it still doesn't work, what's the point of having a spell in your campaign in the first place? The party went to the sewers to fight some bandits and found an entire mafia setup. The bandits have both sleeping and drunkenness poisons that would make your character do nothing on your turn. Basically skip your turn. 2 assassins, manual monsters, showed up, and they had +9 to hit compared to the regular +6. It was at this point the chance to hit of monsters were equal or even higher than ours. Random bandits in sewers, same bonus to hit than you. The only reason the party could take any fight is because we forged a legendary weapon we got from the Shadowfell that did 2d12 radiant damage on a hit and could attack an extra time. So 6d12 radiant damage per turn, yikes. It had the effect to heal the players a lot. We made a pact to get out of the sewers and I retired my character that I had grown fond of and had already completed her campaign objective and didn't want her to die in an unfair battle. I then made an Eldritch Knight with 2 levels into a War Wizard. This character barely got any background as the DM would either not use it or only bring it for negative things. DMs that use your background in order to hinder you instead of creating something fun, that is the worst, dude. What's the point of writing a backstory if that could be used against you? Part 4, Ice Fort, level 8 party. We're currently here and this is where it turned into a crap fest and most of us stopped caring about the game. Went to this fort that sent a distress signal asking for help. We went there and found some marauding gang of northern Goliaths who fought an exploration party without much trouble and reached the fort. We had a talk and discussed the defense and started the raid. Things that happened. The walls were not existent. Before the assault started, we asked how tall were the walls. The DM said 50 to 60 feet. A few giants showed up and they just jumped the wall like it's nothing. The DM had passed an image on how tall the giants were. Those giants had to jump double their height to reach the top of the wall and did it like nothing. No athletics checks. Some monsters and some NPCs started ignoring movement limit in order to reach their destination easier. I'm reading through this and like I'm mad for the players, but also the absurdity is just hilarious. Giants that are jumping twice their height to hop a wall. Did they unlock like a double jump or something? Why not just like bash down through the wall and attack the wall like Attack on Titan style? You could have so much of a cool moment with the wall having their own health and the giants beating down part of the wall, Attack on Titan style, trying to, make a clearing for the rest of them to just come in. That'd be awesome. I'm stealing that. I'm stealing for my campaign. Let's continue. 3 frost wyverns appeared. The DM said, "These wyverns are not as strong as dragons, don't worry." The The Wyverns had stats stronger than young white dragons, a breath attack that did the same damage, could do 2 stinger attacks per turn, double poison, and a spellcaster on top that could use Ice Storm. The DM had noticed that my character's gimmick was tanking. I knew I could not do more damage than the DM custom monsters and weapons, so my character was just a 21 AC tank. 26 with shield. Had absorb elements and resistance to piercing damage. My job was to make enemies miss attacks and let the NPCs do the damage. The only weakness my character had was 0 to dex saving throw, +4 with arcane deflection from War Wizard. The DM had used Ice Storm with a con save before, but when one of these hit only me, he said I had to make a dex saving throw. I confronted him that he used a con before and the spell says con saving throw. He didn't care, forced me to roll dex, which I failed, and then used a custom grapple attack that forced me to do another dex save. 16 was not enough too. Argue was not fair because I had +8 to athletics and already changed Ice Storm to dex 2, he didn't care. Grappled me and throw me off the wall of the fort, taking 9d6 fall damage. A player next to it asked if he could help with the reaction and the DM told me to do a freaking athletics check. I went AFK for a while until it was my turn again. I really started to not care about this. Also, previous to this, I had cast a blur on myself. Next enemy spellcaster used a spell magic on me and the DM literally said, I will keep doing this because he doesn't want to miss his attacks on me. Dude, it sounds like your DM sucks. It sounds like they just target you because you have high AC and them saying like, I will keep doing this, I will keep taking off your blur continuously because I want your character dead and I'm gonna make you roll dexterity saves instead of con saves or athletics because I want your character dead. This is a DM that's trying to win D&D but fighting against their players instead of playing with them. They're against their players, and the purpose of pinning the players for failure every single time. Like the Green Dragon, some Blessed Warriors could do some sort of breath attack that removed the resistance to ice we had from potions we bought. He then could do 2 attacks on the same turn. Damage of regular weapon from half the enemies and helping NPCs were 3d8, 3d12, and similar. There was a helper paladin with a warhammer that did 3d8 damage each attack. We joked that at the end of the combat we could kill him and get his weapon because ours sucked. Our legendary weapon was doing less damage than the regular weapon from these raiders and NPCs. Any large creature that had a range attack like throwing a rock could do it as a bonus action too. Combat then ended because a giant white dragon said so, and session ended. We have 3 in-game days to prepare for another attack, but none of us care at this point really. And here's where we are currently, the party level to 9 after this combat. Y'all flying through experience pretty fast I feel like, but you know what? Is it really worth it? I don't think your game is worth it. I don't think your DM is fun to play with. I don't think your DM's mentality is fun in the slightest whatsoever. I think it's just not gonna be worth it. Y'all are better off looking for a different game. Or, I don't know, going outside kicking rocks for all I care. If anything sounds more fun than this homebrew ass hell where the DM is purposely trying to kill each and every single character, looking for every way just to decimate everybody. I mean, if a random NPC is doing 3d8 damage just with the attack of a maul, then what's the point of you having your legendary weapons that deal less damage than that? Grab the maul from them and use that instead. That sounds way more satisfying. If every single NPC, both enemy and friendly, in the game is doing more than the players are, something is clearly wrong. Clearly wrong. If the barbarians are doing more damage than y'all doing on a single hit, it's just not fun. Dude, this game just doesn't sound so fun. It sounds like y'all pinned against the DM the whole time. Don't play this. Leave. Quit. It's not worth it. Ugh, I feel bad for you guys. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.